up guys, my name is TishaTheBrave. Hope you guys are doing well, hope you guys are doing okay. Before we get into the video, I know there's at least one or two of you who haven't pressed that subscribe button, so subscribe to me and join the Bravers, which is the family name for my subscribers. Also, I want to tell you about my spiritual podcast that I have with my good friend D. Please go ahead and check it out on YouTube. We have all our episodes there. If you're interested in more spiritual content, please check it out. So today I'm here to talk about the new moon in Leo and what that actually means for us. Leos govern the house of self-expression and also children. So what I really want to talk about here is, are we projecting our insecurities onto the children around us? Some of us are not mothers like myself, right? But they do have children around them often. Like I have my little cousins around me often, right? So I always make sure that whatever I'm talking to them about, I'm not projecting some of my insecurities onto them. So what could I possibly be talking about? Well, let's start off with an obvious one. How many of us were compared to other children growing up? Me, right? A lot of us were compared to children a lot, especially in ethnic households. Why were we compared to children a lot? Because they were afraid. Our parents were afraid, or our carers were afraid, that they were going to be talked about. So what did they do? They made sure that you were doing the correct and right things. All the time. They made sure your grades were up. They made sure you looked presentable, you looked a type of way, so that they can brag to their friends, so that they would have nothing bad to say about their children. But a matter of fact, what did that do? That caused a strain on our relationship between us and our parents or our carers, right? So it didn't make any sense that they actually did that, because what that did was cause a lot of hostility and tension between the actual household, instead of actually having love and support. Hands up if you were a person that were told not to stay in the sun for too long because your skin would get darker. Me. A lot of us are projecting our colonial perceptions and European standards onto our children. How many of us were not taught our native language because they would prefer it if we spoke the colonial version of it? Also me. I grew up speaking French. Mauritian Creole is broken French, and I wasn't taught that. So how many of us are projecting those insecurities onto our children without even knowing it? And there's nothing wrong, by the way, with learning a European language, but what I'm saying is, what's the reason you're teaching this European language to your children, and why is it almost shameful that you're not teaching them your native tongue? For me, I would have preferred if I actually learned Creole, because I feel like I would be a lot more connected to my culture, and I'm connected in so many other ways. You know, I cook the food and I listen to the music. I do need to go back a little bit more often, but I also feel a little bit more disconnected when I don't know how to actually speak the language, even if I can understand it. Are we actively teaching them their history? Do they know where they come from? Particularly non-white children, are you ashamed of where you come from? These are things that you have to actually talk to yourself about, because you could be projecting your insecurities onto people. I know people that have issues with being half white. I know people who have issues with being half non-white, and depending on how they sway, because their parents did not actively have conversations about race, sometimes they embrace one side and not the other. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's detrimental on both sides, because they should be embracing who they are fully and loving who they are fully, but they're not, because their parents are not teaching them, or the carers are not teaching them how to love themselves. If you have a child that is adopted, that is around you, they should be able to know their cultural background. They should be able to know these things. So the question is, are we projecting our insecurities onto our children? And of course, we are not perfect human beings. A lot of the things that we do is just learned behavior. But it is time to put a stop to learned behavior, because we are now old enough and we understand more, and we are in the age of technology where we can understand and learn a lot more of how to undo these things. So we must work on the heart chakra, because we need to be open enough to receive the love, light, and knowledge that we now have to give to ourselves to be able to pass down to our kids. And also maybe do some solar plexus chakra meditations. Why? Because that is also about confidence. That is also about making sure that we are fine within ourselves also. So during this time, I want us to be mindful about the kids around us. So even if we're not outwardly responsible for them, for example, I'm not a parent, but when my cousins are in my care, I am responsible for them. What am I saying to them? What am I teaching them? Am I saying the right things? You have to be mindful of what you're teaching your kids. You have to be mindful of what you're saying to them. You have to be mindful of you not projecting your insecurities onto them. Anyways, guys, If you guys like this content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. My name is TishaTheBrave. Thank you guys for watching. And if you guys are interested, I do have a podcast, a spiritual podcast with my friend D. Check it out. It's called Sisterly Synergy on YouTube, so you can check it out there. And we'll talk soon. Bye bye.